Hi, and welcome to OPM Now, where we inform you about the activities of the Prime Minister and your government. I'm Naomi Francis. This week on OPM Now, NID's implementation task force to be set up and cards rolled out by mid-year. The country experiences growth by more than 6% in the third quarter of the fiscal year. And the Ministry of Labour and Social Security says you should not pay for farm work application program. Details after the break.
Crime and mash up with country. The police and government alone can't stop it. Talk up and save lives. It could be your own.
The Planning Institute of Jamaica is reporting that the Jamaican economy experienced an estimated real value-added growth of 6.4% over the period October to December 2021 relative to the corresponding quarter in 2020. The hotels and restaurants industry recorded the highest levels of growth with an estimated 76.2%. The PIOJ Director General, Dr. Wayne Henry, says the increase is largely due to the continued relaxation of COVID-19 containment measures. Additionally, the PIOJ is projecting growth of between 7 and 9% for the final quarter of the fiscal year ending in March.
With the occasion of the pandemic, as we mentioned, you've seen in some cases a pivoting, in some cases retooling to more productive areas by businesses. And then with the ongoing set of initiatives currently underway in terms of some of our strategic projects that are being implemented, we are expecting that the long-term prospects for the Jamaican economy will improve. And so it's something that has been the discussion and the focus of the government, and has been in discussion by our policy makers in terms of just seeking to address what some would consider that relatively low steady state growth rate that has been characteristics of the Jamaican economy. And we are seeing measures in recent times that will give us cause to be optimistic.
The government is set to roll out the National Identification System NIDS cards by mid-year, and there will be social provisions for those most vulnerable in the society. Here's more in this report.
The National Identification System, NIDS, is one of the most important pieces of legislation that the government wants to move Jamaica into the digital era and modernize the economy. The key focus has been to create a singular ID that will make it easier to complete government and private services faster. The anticipated rollout is scheduled for the second half of the year with an implementation task force. The minister without portfolio in the Office of the Prime Minister with responsibility for NIDS, the Honorable Floyd Green, says the task force will include various entities and agencies.
So what we're starting with is an implementation task force, which will be put in place by the end of February. And that implementation task force will bring together various agencies, various ministries, especially those that are front-facing, that offer a lot of services to the people. And that implementation task force will look at the services we now offer, how we can digitize them, and how we can ensure that what you need to unlock them is your national identification card, your national identification number.
After the implementation task force is formed, the minister explains that a pilot enrollment process will begin.
The plan is in the second half of this year, by that time, that we will have enrollment centers. We're going to start with a pilot project in Kingston and St. Andrew, because I think it's very, very important that we start, we see if there are any challenges, and then we fix those challenges before we go island-wide. So the plan is to have 5 pilot locations across Kingston and St. Andrew where people will actually be able to go in, enroll, and get their identification card.
One of the main focus for the government during the NIDS enrollment process is the elderly. Minister Green says this process will also include assisting those persons who do not possess a birth certificate.
So we're going to bring the enrollment sites to the people. We're also going to have specialty drives to target our elderly, get them out, and not only get them out to ensure that they get their ID, but we have found that a number of our older persons do not have birth certificates, unfortunately. So we're going to be going on a program, we're going to be providing for them free birth certificates as a part of the process when they enroll for NIDS.
Another focal point of the NIDS is the disabled community. With the Disabilities Act in effect, the government is ensuring that more members of the disabled community will become registered to access much-needed benefits.
A lot of our disabled community do not have ID cards. You can't tell, especially if the disability isn't visible, that they are of our special needs community. And as such, we're working with the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities to develop an identifier that will go on the card if they so elect, so that they can easily, by showing their card, identify with the disability community. So we're really using the national identification card and system to ensure that we treat our most vulnerable in society.
Have you considered signing up for the Farm Work program? The program is free of cost and requires you to send your application to the Ministry of Labour and Social Security. But if you have been asked to pay for a farm work placement, well, you need to contact the ministry immediately. Here's why.
The Overseas Employment Program, which includes farm work and hospitality programs overseas, have been the recent pawns for scammers. The Ministry of Labour and Social Security warns persons to be on the lookout.
I would encourage persons to not pay any money. The ministry does not charge for participation in the farm work program. If you are approached by anybody purporting to be a member of staff of the ministry, or anybody who tells you that they have a contact in the ministry but you have to pay them, do not pay them. The ministry does not charge. It will not get you ahead of the queue any faster.
The Permanent Secretary says the Ministry of Labour and Social Security's website is the only official website that has a list of all employment agencies locally and overseas.
Check the ministry's website. We do have a list of all the registered employment agencies in Jamaica that are allowed to legally operate in Jamaica. Now, those agencies cannot place you in agricultural jobs overseas. Only the government of Jamaica. So if there's anybody purporting to be able to place you in an agricultural job overseas, run as fast as you can from that person, because you know that all they're about is to scam you.
And finally, Prime Minister Andrew Holness and Mrs. Holness received their booster shot over the weekend. The Prime Minister continues to encourage everyone to stay safe and get vaccinated.
So we know, as the nurse explained earlier, that your protection from taking the vaccines will wane after a period of time. And therefore, in order to be able to have your full protection from being vaccinated, you take a booster shot. Now, the booster, along with maintaining the protocols, even when the government lifts the rules, will help you to remain safe.
Well, it is good to be in a place where we're a lot more certain of the impact that vaccine has, the COVID vaccine has on individuals who have taken it. I have just received my booster shot, and it gives me a lot of comfort in knowing that I am far more protected, and in the likelihood that I contract the virus, I will not get very sick. It is unlikely that I'll be hospitalized. And I feel good to be in that place because I'm a mother and a wife and must protect myself for myself and family.
I lost my husband to gun violence. My child will never know her father. Jamaica, please stop the senseless killings.
And that's it for OPM Now. Please remember to follow the Prime Minister on all socials at Andrew Holness JM and on YouTube at Andrew Michael Holness /JM. And look out for OPM Now every Monday at 6 p.m. on all socials. Catch you next week and stay safe.